Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Flow. This is a podcast where we aim to learn and spread awareness of the lethal effects of period poverty. It's a public health crisis that affects hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Follow along on our journey as we go with the flow.
All right, so starting off, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hi, I'm Avery Siegel. I am a senior at Tulane University, graduating this May. And I am one of the co-founders of the PAD project. I've been working on the PAD project since the very beginning, for about 7-8 years now, since I was a freshman in high school. And I currently am a staff member as well as sit on the Founders Council. And right now I'm doing a lot of community outreach programming, as well as I created our ambassador program, and I'm also working on my own podcast for the PAD project.
Cool.
So what is the PAD project? Can you tell us a little bit about the organization?
Yeah, so the PAD project is a nonprofit organization that works on, it's kind of a two-tier organization. One tier is education, and it educates people all around the world, here in the US and abroad, about what menstruation is. And then the other half deals with period poverty, and it tackles different instances of period poverty and different solutions for different communities. So for example, in some communities, we have washable pad programs. In some communities, we have pad distribution. Some communities, we have pad machines. So it's really based on community needs, and the partnership we grow with the communities that we're working with to provide them with the products they need, but then also follow up with the education about what period poverty is, what it means to be experiencing menstruation, sexual health, education, and all of that.
What made you kind of like first get into period poverty and working with the PAD project?
So the PAD project started with a group of students who I was a part of, and our English teacher, Melissa Burton, who's now the CEO of PAD Project. And she is actually an English teacher at our high school, which is called Oakwood High School in North Hollywood, California. And she was teaching, she was my freshman year teacher, and she was teaching us the Odyssey, I think. And I made some comment about something about feminist related, don't know exactly what the comment was, but she pulled me aside after class and was like, I think you should come to my club. I host this club called Girls Learn International, and I think it'd be a great club for you to be a part of. And at that time, it was just a club out of the Feminist Majority Foundation. And from there, I joined alongside a few of my other friends. And at that point, a few of the seniors had graduated, and we were sophomores, and we applied to go with the UN to the UN's conference on the status of women and girls. And so we went and learned about the issues of period poverty, and that's when we decided to create. We decided that we wanted to do something that was bigger than just talk about period poverty, and something bigger than just fundraising, because we wanted to break the taboo and switch conversations of menstruation from private to public. So at that point, we decided that creating an educational documentary was the best way for us to spread our message.
Yeah, and we want to get into that too, but everyone that we've talked to, and even us, like the whole reason we kind of started this too is like this stigma around like menstruation and period, just anything, it really, I mean, it just makes it that much harder if you're a woman going through period poverty. Like if you're, I mean, just like the stigma around your period, and then there's the stigma around poverty, and then it just makes it so hard, like.
Yeah, and it's a problem that's not just abroad. I think when I first started, I was super naive to the fact that it's happening, in the valley.
Oh yeah.
It's happening everywhere, and I think there's so much taboo surrounding both, yeah, like you said, both of the subjects, and it makes it really hard to break free of that.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea like that, like in the valley also this was happening. Like you and someone else that we interviewed, like you said North Hollywood, right? Is where you are?
Yeah, well, Oakwood's in North Hollywood.
Oh, okay. And like someone else that we interviewed, they said they were in North Hills. So I'm like, wow, like, I had no idea that like there were like organizations like pretty local to us that and that like so many that period poverty was such a big thing here, Like I think that like the immediate kind of thought is that it may be somewhere like um I mean, I don't know, just like you never it's like you never really realize how close something can really be to you.
Yeah, I think we've seen that a lot with the PAD project and the different organizations that we work with. We work with domestic and international partners, and it's crazy. There's so many different nonprofits doing this work.
Mm-hmm. So what made you decide to create the documentary, and what was your process to create it?
So the reason that we made the film was kind of like what I was talking about earlier, was that we wanted an educational tool. And at the beginning, we thought we would just give it to schools. We were trying to get into the LAUSD system, and we didn't really know exactly what our end goal was, but we knew it was going to be some sort of educational piece. And so when we were done with the film, which we came up, the group of students and Melissa came up with it, and then we went out and realized that none of us were film people, so we needed a director. So that's when we brought on Raika Zibtopchi, who is our director, and she had just graduated USC Film School, so she was pretty fresh and excited to work with us. And so we launched a Kickstarter, and together we made the film. And she was the one who traveled to India for the installation of the pad machine. And back in the US, we were doing a lot of the outreach to other communities in the US. At the time, we had just done some US partners. And then we realized when the film was done that we needed to do something with it. So we started submitting to film festivals, thinking that maybe something would come from it. And we started getting really positive feedback. And the way that the Oscars happens is that you have to win certain film festivals to be qualified to be nominated. So we started winning film festivals, and so we started applying to more competitive ones. And then we started winning those. And after we got nominated, Netflix sent us an offer. And we had a few other offers with other networks, and we decided ultimately that Netflix had the best platform for us because of the many different languages that it offered and because of the wide variety of people who have Netflix. So that's kind of how we decided on that. Yeah.
So
That's really cool.
Thank you.
yeah,
Congrats on that, by the way.
really inspiring, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the pad machine earlier in that description. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the pad machine that is featured in Period End of Sentence is created by a man named Mergen Anthem, who's actually also in the film. He's near the end. And this machine, he also has an amazing story. There's a documentary called Padman. Actually, it's a short feature. It's called Padman, and it's on his story and how he got involved with this. But he saw that there were so many women, especially his wife, who were suffering whenever they were menstruating. And so he decided to figure out a way to make a pad. And so he literally walked around with like a lamb's bladder, I think, hanging from him and trying out different pads to find something that worked. And his family disowned him because they were like, this is crazy. Like, this is, it's so culturally unacceptable to talk about those things in his, where he was from, which is a small village in India. And so, yeah, he created this machine. And so the machine that is there, that is a semi-automatic machine. We also have manual machines and automatic machines, depends on the needs of the community. But the one that's featured in the film, semi-automatic, and what it is it's made from tree bark. So the reason why that solution works very well in India is because the specific tree that the tree bark that is used to make the pad grows all over India. So they're able to take the tree from the bark from the tree and then turn it into a pad. And then they actually take it's a 3-step process. And the last step is that after the pads are used, they burn them, and that becomes the fluff for the next pad. So it creates a little like micro ecosystem and also a micro economy because it employs the women of the community. So that's the specific machine that's there. And yes, that solution works very well for some communities, but we found that that solution is not applicable to every single community that we work with, which is why we've looked for other types of solutions and other ways to problem solve.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. I mean the fact that like yeah, like it's like you said, like it starts with something. I mean that man, like he kind of was like looked at like how could you like talk about menstruation like that, but I mean it evolved, like it turned into something like that's like gonna like very that a lot of people need basically. Sorry, I'm kind of struggling for words. We have a issue where Zoom cuts us off, so we have remaining 10 minutes in this meeting. I'm really sorry about that. Zoom like just cuts me off. I'm really sorry about that, but I just want to let you know. Okay.
If you want, I have like through Pat Project, I have a business account if you want more time. So just let me know.
Okay. All right, cool.
If we needed more time, we could always just end the meeting and then join
And then
again.
restart it, true, yeah. Restart it, yeah. All right. Well, anyways, did you guys want to ask another question?
Yeah. So what effects have you noticed from the documentary? Because I mean, being on Netflix, I'm sure a lot of people watch it. I mean, I watched it. It was really cool. Have you seen a direct effect from that after you published the documentary?
Thank you for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, so we had no idea that we were going to be nominated for an Oscar, let alone win an Oscar. And that platform was amazing. 30 million odd people watched the Oscars. So we were able to gain a lot of traction and raise a lot of funds from that, which was, super important and a jumping off point for starting our nonprofit and having the funds to do so and hire a director of development, who we now have named Sorrel Cohen, and other project managers located. We have 2 based in India right now and 1 in Sierra Leone. And so the impacts have been, we've had people reach out from all over the world, truly all over the world, like something like 97 countries last I checked, like crazy amounts of people. And they're either asking for a pad machine in their community, or they're asking how to donate a pad machine, or they're asking how to help us. And, we're a really small team. We definitely are expanding, but we're expanding as we're growing, which is very fast, but we're trying to keep it a small team because we like working together. It's the same team pretty much that's been working together since the beginning. But in for example, I started the ambassador program, which was launched for the first year last summer, and we have about 90 ambassadors from 29 different countries who are participating in different monthly events with us, who are hosting their own events, who are having their own fundraisers, who are doing all different types of things. So the impact of it has been insane to watch. We also are having someone right now do an impact study, so we can tell exactly how many people are being impacted from our work. But because I've been running this ambassador program, I can tell you firsthand how cool it is to work with people from all over the world who are super passionate about menstrual equality.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing when people come together like that for a cause. Yeah. I also really like that you guys it's a pad machine. We were having a conversation the other day where we were saying like when period poverty is brought up, that sometimes the donations are just kind of like tampons, but not everyone uses tampons, and we were like, like what if you're not comfortable using a tampon, what if you're like a little on the younger side, what if just you prefer pads, and so I think it's really cool that you guys are making a pad machine.
Yeah, and I think, not all of our pads are made from pad machine. We also do donations and collect products, but that's why it really is important to talk with the community that you're working with and create a solution together, because it's going to make a solution worse if you throw on, it's going to make a problem worse if you throw on what you think is a solution, and what might be a solution in some Western cultures are not a solution in other cultures all over the world. So it's really important to see, work together and create a team of people who are part of the community that you're trying to help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that like it's great if you want to make a donation, but you gotta first figure out what they need. Like the people with the problem have to be the people that are like, well, this is our problem. This is what would be a solution. And that might not just be like boxes of tampons. It might be a lot of things, like tampons, pads, period underwear, even like just like other stuff that's like not even just like period products, just other hygiene things. I actually did want to ask you though, what have you seen? How has, in your experience, this pandemic impacted period poverty?
I think this pandemic has impacted life in every single asset. There's a lot of people with job insecurity and food insecurity, which makes buying products very hard. There's also a rise in homelessness. So I think it's it's a very hard time to be alive, and it's also a very hard time to be a menstruating individual who is struggling to stay afloat. It's also hard because not all shelters are open and at full capacity. We've also struggled with working with some of our abroad partners because they've had different regulations, they've had different rules, different closures. So I think it's been a very challenging year, but we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I was talking to one of our partners at this organization called Sierra Leone Rising in Sierra Leone, and he was telling me that they finally just got their first round of vaccines. And so he's super excited because he thinks that the girls will be able to come back to his school soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, these vaccines are really giving us so much hope. I mean, like, seriously, like you said, light at the end of the tunnel, for sure.
Well, I did have one last question, or not the last, but I had one more question. So you were talking earlier about how it has grown, or your company has grown like so big so fast. Like seeing all the impact that it's had on so many, not just women, but like just people who menstruate in general. Would you say that was like or I guess the most rewarding part of running this company?
I think the most rewarding part has been seeing the conversation about menstruation shift from private to public, seeing my family members talk openly about periods, seeing my male friends talk openly about periods. I think that's a change that I thought would take a lot longer than a few years, and it's just been super eye-opening to be able to talk freely about something that happens to a majority of the population.
Yeah, the work you guys do is super inspiring. Do we want to try and continue this conversation on a separate Zoom because I have less than a minute here? Or do we just want to wrap it up? Like what do we want to do?
Yeah, I know your time is really limited, so we
I
really
know,
want to
I don't know
respect
why
that.
it keeps doing this to me.
I have like 5 more minutes if you guys want to send another link, or we can be done now, whatever you guys want.
I think, you know what, it does take a while after I end it for it to like actually process and convert and record. So let's just we had a good conversation here. We learned a lot from you. Thank you for being here. The work you do is really inspiring. You guys are doing I mean, it's so inspiring for everyone and including other organizations out there, and also to us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I know we know you have a lot of work on your plate, so really thank you for taking time out of your day
Yeah,
to talk to
Yes.
us.
Yeah, of course. Well, good luck on your podcast.
Thank
Good
you.
luck on
yours
yours.
too.
Good luck on yours. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, send me this when it's done. I'd love to listen.
Of
Yeah,
course.
definitely.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right.